Have you ever stopped to think about what happens when you complain about money, worry about bills, or even say phrases like, "I don't have money for that"? Florence Scovel Shinn, one of the greatest spiritual masters of the 20th century, taught that the way you talk to money can transform your financial reality from the inside out. This is not an exaggeration. Your words, thoughts, and beliefs are orders to your subconscious mind, and by extension, to the universe. If you've never heard this before, pay close attention, because chances are you've been sabotaging your prosperity without even realizing it. Most people live trapped in a cycle of financial frustration. They look at their bank account and feel fear, anxiety, or even anger. Others treat money as if it were some kind of distant enemy, something unattainable, reserved only for the lucky ones or the clever ones. How many times have you caught yourself saying, even in thought, "Money doesn't last. I never have enough. That's too expensive for me," or "Those things aren't for people like me"? Each of those words, according to Florence, is like entering a password for your subconscious to execute exactly that: lack, limitation, frustration. Florence Scovel Shinn was a pioneer in publicly stating that money is not an enemy, it's not dirty, and it's not a sin to desire prosperity. On the contrary, for her, prosperity is the natural right of every human being. But this right can only become reality when you change your internal relationship with money. That's why, before any technique, strategy, or extra source of income, the starting point is transforming your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust. The great mistake most people make is not, as many think, in how they spend, but in how they think and talk about money. Many carry from childhood phrases and beliefs that have been repeated for generations. Money is trouble. People with a lot of money aren't happy. Money doesn't take disrespect. To be honest, you have to be poor. That was never for people like us. Stop for a second and reflect. How many of these phrases already live inside you? How many circulate automatically in your internal dialogue, especially in moments of financial squeeze? What Florence warned about is that negative phrases, limiting repetitions, and constant complaints are not harmless venting. They are literal commands to the subconscious, which by its nature faithfully obeys what it receives with emotion and repetition. When you say, "I don't have money for that," your subconscious understands, "I'm supposed to keep being without money, since that's my truth." And the universe, responding to the vibration, organizes reality so that this belief continues to be true. Therefore, the first step in our script is to become aware. Much of your financial result today is a direct reflection of your internal conversation pattern about money. Change the dialogue and the rest, sooner or later, changes along with it. The problem gains depth when, without realizing it, a person transforms money into an invisible villain. Money becomes a reason for fights, envy, or even guilt. Money only brings problems. Having a lot of money ruins character. After they got rich, they changed. If for your unconscious mind, money is dangerous, problematic, or causes suffering, guess what? It will do everything to keep its distance, protecting you from something that, at the root, you yourself consider wrong or risky. This belief also justifies the unconscious rejection of opportunities. Often the best doors open, and the person simply doesn't see them, because the internal filter already blocks. "That's not for me. If it were easy, I would have already gotten it. God didn't want it." Florence taught that God does want it, but waits for our vibrational permission to act. Florence said, the universe is literal. The subconscious, like an obedient employee, doesn't distinguish joke from truth, exaggeration from sincerity. It only understands vibration, emotion, and repetition. When someone says, "I never have enough money, money doesn't grow on trees, I wasn't born to be rich," they're basically putting a seal of approval on these ideas, and the subconscious accepts them. The practical exercise here is, from now on, deny every limiting phrase. Whenever you notice a thought of scarcity or an automatic complaint, resort to the question, is this that I'm thinking, feeling, or saying the reality I want to reinforce and amplify? If the answer is no, refuse it internally, change the phrase immediately to its desired opposite. Now that we already understand the central mistake and its root, we enter the core of transformation, the solution proposed by Florence. Unlike most traditional financial advice, she didn't start talking about spreadsheets, budgets, or planning. Her starting point was energetic, spiritual, and mental. Change the way you talk to money. Think of someone you appreciate, a friend who always comes back, trusts, and multiplies the good they take. Well, that's how Florence guided her students to see money. The secret is to make money a recurring partner, a constant ally, and especially a friend for all hours. Instead of opening your wallet with fear, anxiety, or haste, stop for a few seconds and welcome it. Instead of feeling regret when spending, bless each note that leaves with the conviction that it will return in multiplied form. The big turnaround happens when you take on the commitment to create a daily dialogue with money. Nothing elaborate or secret is necessary. Always start with the greeting. In the morning, when touching a coin, note, or even visualizing your bank account, speak internally or out loud. Good morning, money. Welcome into my life. You are my faithful friend. Thank you for being with me. When receiving any amount, whether salary, tip, gift, or income, I receive this money with joy and gratitude. Thank you for showing up for me. Come back always with more friends. And when spending, using, investing, I bless this money that goes out. May it go into the world, generate good, and find its way back multiplied. Make your subconscious the best prosperity translator in the universe. Visualize, imagine, and repeat the idea that each word, each greeting, each thank you is implanting a new reality. According to Florence, the truer your internal conversation, the more the subconscious takes command, bringing into your life the opportunities, values, and even the right people to enhance your abundance. What you need to understand deeply is that this is not magical thinking or empty positive thinking. Florence based her teachings on a spiritual law. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant there, it will grow. If you plant seeds of lack, you harvest lack. If you plant seeds of abundance, you harvest abundance. The conversation with money is simply the conscious act of planting the right seeds. Think about a garden. If you spend all day cursing the soil, complaining that nothing grows, saying the land is cursed, what do you think will happen? The soil doesn't care about your complaints. It simply reflects what you plant. But if you care for the soil, speak words of gratitude over it. Trust in its fertility. Even the smallest seed becomes a tree. Money works exactly the same way. When you curse it, when you say it never stays, when you treat it with resentment, you're programming your internal garden to remain barren. But when you bless it, when you welcome it, when you speak to it as you would speak to a dear friend, you're preparing the soil of your consciousness to receive abundance. Florence used to tell a story about a woman who came to her completely broke. This woman worked hard, did everything right according to conventional wisdom, but money simply didn't stay in her hands. Florence asked her a simple question. How do you feel when you receive money? The woman replied, I feel anxious because I know it will leave. Florence said, there's your problem. You're greeting money with the energy of goodbye. From that day forward, Florence taught the woman to change her reception. Every time money arrived, whether it was $5 or $500, the woman would stop, hold the money in her hands and say, welcome, dear friend. I'm so happy you're here. Stay as long as you want. Multiply. Bring your family. At first, the woman felt ridiculous, but within 3 weeks, something shifted. She received an unexpected bonus at work. Within 2 months, she got a promotion. Within 6 months, her entire financial reality had transformed. Was it magic? No, it was reprogramming. The woman changed the frequency at which she was vibrating toward money, and money, being energy, responded to that new frequency. This is what most people don't understand about prosperity teachings. They think it's about repeating affirmations mechanically, like a robot. But Florence taught something much deeper. She taught that you must feel the words. You must believe them. You must embody them. When you say, money is my friend, you can't just mouth the words. You have to feel friendship. You have to feel trust. You have to feel the warmth of companionship. That's why the conversation with money is so powerful. Because when you speak to money out loud, when you hold it in your hands, when you look at it with gratitude instead of fear, you're creating an emotional experience. An emotion is the language of the subconscious. The subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to feeling. Let me give you another example. There was a man who came to Florence saying he hated paying bills. Every month when the bills arrived, he would feel anger, resentment, and frustration. He would say things like, "They're robbing me. This is too expensive. I work just to pay bills." And guess what happened? Every month, more bills appeared. Unexpected expenses, car repairs, medical emergencies. It was as if the universe heard his complaint and said, "Oh, you want to pay bills? Here, have more bills." Florence told him, "You're cursing the money as it leaves. And when you curse money, it doesn't want to come back." She taught him a new practice. Every time he paid a bill, he would hold the check or the money and say, "I bless this money that goes out to pay for electricity. Thank you for keeping my lights on. Go with my blessing and return to me multiplied." He would do this for every bill, rent, water, groceries, everything. Within 1 month, the man received a tax refund he'd forgotten about. Within 2 months, he got a raise at work. Within 3 months, he had saved more money than he'd ever saved in his life. Same job, same expenses, different energy, different results. Do you see the pattern? Florence wasn't teaching tricks or hacks. She was teaching universal laws. The law of vibration, the law of attraction, the law that says you attract not what you want, but what you are. If you are a person who resents money, who fears it, who complains about it, you attract more situations to resent, fear, and complain about. But if you are a person who welcomes money, who trusts it, who blesses it, you attract more abundance. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Florence taught that money is not just energy, it's conscious energy. She believed money has a personality. Money responds to how you treat it. If you treat money poorly, it stays away. If you treat money well, it stays close. Think about it. If you had a friend who always complained about you, always criticized you, always made you feel unwelcome, would you want to visit that friend? Of course not. You'd avoid them. Money is the same way. When you complain about money, when you say you never have enough, when you treat it like an enemy, money hears that, and it stays away. But when you welcome money, when you thank it, when you treat it like a beloved companion, money hears that too, and it wants to stay. This might sound strange to some people. They might think, money doesn't have ears, money can't hear me. But Florence would say, you're thinking too literally. Money is a manifestation of universal energy, and energy responds to the vibration you send out. When you speak words of lack, you send out a vibration of lack. When you speak words of abundance, you send out a vibration of abundance. The universe doesn't judge. It simply matches. So the conversation with money is not just about saying nice words. It's about changing your entire vibrational frequency. It's about becoming a person who naturally attracts prosperity because that's who you are at the core. It's about reprogramming your identity from "I'm someone who struggles with money" to "I'm someone money loves to come to." And this is where the real transformation begins. Because once you change your identity, everything else follows. Opportunities appear, doors open, people show up, ideas come, money flows, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated anything, but because you aligned yourself with the natural flow of abundance that was always available to you. Florence used to say, "The universe is a river of abundance, and you are standing on the shore with a thimble, complaining that there's not enough water." The problem isn't the river. The problem is the size of your container. And your container is your consciousness, your beliefs, your thoughts, your words. When you expand your consciousness, when you change your beliefs, when you speak different words, your container grows. And suddenly you're able to receive more than you ever thought possible. So right now, I want you to do something. I want you to pause for a moment and think about how you've been talking to money. Have you been welcoming it? Or have you been pushing it away? Have you been blessing it? Or have you been cursing it? Have you been treating it like a friend or like an enemy? Be honest with yourself. Because the quality of your financial life right now is a direct reflection of the quality of your internal conversation about money. If you want different results, you need a different conversation. And that starts today. That starts right now. That starts with the next thought you think and the next word you speak about money. Now that you understand the foundation, that your words create your reality, and that money responds to how you treat it, let's go deeper into the specific tools Florence gave to her students. These are not just pretty phrases to repeat mindlessly. These are precise spiritual technologies designed to reprogram your subconscious mind and shift your vibrational frequency to match the frequency of abundance. Florence identified 3 core affirmations that, when used consistently, have the power to completely transform your financial reality. But before I give them to you, I need you to understand something crucial. Affirmations only work when you infuse them with feeling. You can't just say the words mechanically like a robot and expect magic to happen. You have to feel the truth of what you're saying. You have to embody it. You have to let the words sink into your bones until they become part of your identity. The first affirmation is simple but powerful. Money flows to me easily. Notice the word easily. This is critical. Most people believe that money is hard to get, hard to keep, hard to multiply. They believe they have to struggle, hustle, and sacrifice to have financial success. And because they believe it, that becomes their reality. But Florence taught that money is meant to flow. It's meant to be easy. It's meant to be natural. When you say money flows to me easily, you're telling your subconscious to stop resisting, stop forcing, and start allowing. Here's how to use this affirmation effectively. Every morning, as soon as you wake up, before you check your phone or start worrying about the day ahead, sit on the edge of your bed and say this phrase out loud 10 times. But don't just say it, feel it. Imagine money as a river flowing toward you effortlessly. See yourself standing in that river, receiving it with open arms. Feel the ease. Feel the flow. Do this for 30 days straight, and I guarantee you will start noticing shifts in your financial reality. The second affirmation is even more powerful. Money comes to me under grace in perfect ways. This phrase is pure genius, and here's why. Most people try to control how money comes to them. They think it has to come from their job, or from a specific client, or from a particular source. And when they fixate on one channel, they block all the other channels the universe might want to use. Florence understood that the universe is infinitely creative. Money can come from anywhere. A forgotten refund, an unexpected gift, a random opportunity, an inheritance, a chance encounter. When you say, under grace in perfect ways, you're surrendering control. You're telling the universe, I trust you to bring money to me in whatever way is best. I'm not going to limit you with my small thinking. This affirmation is especially important to say when you're facing financial pressure. When bills are due and you don't see a way out, that's when you say this phrase with absolute conviction. Money comes to me under grace in perfect ways. Say it over and over until you feel the anxiety dissolve and trust take its place. Florence had countless students who used this exact phrase and watched as money appeared from the most unexpected sources they never would have thought of on their own. The third affirmation is designed to shift your identity at the deepest level. I am a magnet for prosperity and abundance. This one is best done in front of a mirror. Every night before bed, stand in front of your mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and say this phrase with absolute conviction. I am a magnet for prosperity and abundance. Feel the truth of it. See yourself as someone who naturally attracts wealth. See money being drawn to you like metal to a magnet. The mirror work is important because it creates a direct connection between your conscious and subconscious mind. When you look yourself in the eyes and declare something, your subconscious pays attention. But here's what most people miss. These affirmations are not spells. They're not magic words that work independently of you. They are tools to change your internal state. The real magic happens when you start to believe them. When you say, I am a magnet for prosperity enough times with enough feeling, your subconscious accepts it as truth. And once your subconscious accepts it, your behavior changes. Your decisions change, your vibration changes, and your reality changes to match. Florence also taught specific principles of action that support the mental work. One of the most important is what she called paying yourself first. Here's what this means. Most people get paid and immediately pay everyone else. The landlord, the utility company, the credit card company, the grocery store. And if there's anything left, maybe they save it. But usually there's nothing left. Florence said this is backwards. When you pay everyone else first, you're sending a message to the universe that everyone else is more important than you. You're saying, I'm last. I'm not a priority. I don't matter. But when you pay yourself first, even if it's just 10% of what you earn, you're sending a completely different message. You're saying, I matter. I am a priority. I am worthy of abundance. And the universe responds to that message. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. But I can't afford to save 10%. I barely have enough to cover my bills. And I understand. But here's the truth. The difference between living on 100% of your income and living on 90% is not about the money. It's about the mindset. It's psychological. It's spiritual. When you commit to saving that 10%, you're making a declaration of faith. You're saying, I trust that I will have enough. I trust that I am supported. I trust that abundance is my natural state. And here's what happens. When you start paying yourself first, opportunities appear. You get a raise you weren't expecting. You receive a gift. An expense you thought you'd have to pay gets canceled. The universe finds a way to fill the gap because you've signaled that you're ready to receive. Florence saw this happen over and over again with her students. The ones who committed to paying themselves first always ended up with more money than the ones who didn't, even when they started from the exact same financial position. Another critical principle Florence taught is the principle of releasing. She said that money and opportunities only come when you let go of desperation. As long as you're gripping, forcing, and desperately chasing money, it will run away from you. But the moment you relax, trust, and release your need to control, that's when the floodgates open. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn because it seems counterintuitive. We think that if we want something badly, we should chase it with everything we have. But Florence taught the opposite. She taught that desperation repels. Trust attracts. Think about it in terms of relationships. If someone is desperate for you to love them, if they're clingy and needy and constantly demanding your attention, do you feel drawn to them? No, you feel repelled. But if someone is confident, secure, and trusts that they are lovable, you're naturally attracted to them. Money works the same way. When you're desperate for money, it feels your desperation and stays away. But when you trust that money is always available, that you are always supported, that abundance is your birthright, money feels that trust and flows toward you. So how do you practice releasing? Florence gave a simple exercise. Every time you notice yourself worrying about money, every time you feel that tight knot of anxiety in your chest, stop and take 3 deep breaths. Then say out loud or in your mind, I release this worry. I trust that I am provided for. Money flows to me easily under grace in perfect ways. Feel the tension dissolve. Feel the trust rise up. Do this every single time worry appears. And over time, you'll train your nervous system to default to trust instead of fear. Now let's talk about spending. Most people think that to become wealthy, they need to hoard money, pinch every penny, and feel guilty about every purchase. But Florence taught something radical. She taught that the energy with which you spend money is just as important as the energy with which you receive it. If you spend money with resentment, fear, or regret, you're cursing the money as it leaves. You're telling it, I hate that you're going. Don't come back. But if you spend money with joy, gratitude, and generosity, you're blessing it. You're saying, thank you for serving me. Go do good in the world and return to me multiplied. This doesn't mean you should be reckless or irresponsible with money. It means that when you do spend, whether it's $5 or $500, you do it consciously. You do it with gratitude. You do it with the understanding that money is not leaving you. It's circulating. It's going out into the world and bringing back more. Florence used to say, money is like breath. You breathe in and you breathe out. You don't hold your breath out of fear that you'll run out of air. You trust that more will come. Treat money the same way. One of Florence's students was a woman who was so afraid of spending money that she would agonize over every purchase. She would buy the cheapest version of everything, even when she needed quality. She would deprive herself of small pleasures because she thought saving that $5 would make a difference. And ironically, she was always broke. Florence told her, you're treating money like a scarce resource, so it's showing up as scarce in your life. Start spending with joy. Start treating yourself well. Start trusting that there's always more. The woman was terrified, but she committed to the practice. She started buying the things she actually wanted instead of the cheapest option. She started tipping generously. She started giving small gifts to people she loved. And within 2 months, her income had doubled. Not because she spent more, but because she changed her energy around money. This is the power of circulation. When money flows through you freely, when you receive it with gratitude and spend it with joy, you become a clear channel for abundance. But when you block the flow with fear, guilt, or hoarding, you cut yourself off from the supply. Florence said the universe is like a fountain. The water keeps flowing as long as the fountain is open. But if you block the fountain with a cork, the water stops. Your job is to keep yourself open. Keep the channel clear. Keep the energy flowing. There's one more principle I want to share before we move into the 30-day challenge, and it's one of the most powerful. Florence taught that you must bless the wealth of others. This is huge. Most people see someone else with money and immediately feel envy, resentment, or judgment. They don't deserve that. They got lucky. They probably cheated. Every time you think thoughts like that, you're pushing money away from yourself because you're signaling to the universe that wealth is bad, that wealthy people are bad, and your subconscious hears that and says, okay, we don't want to be like them, so we'll stay poor. But Florence taught the opposite. She said every time you see wealth, bless it. When you see a beautiful house, say, I bless the abundance of the person who lives there. When you see someone driving a luxury car, say, I celebrate their prosperity. When you hear about someone making a lot of money, say, I'm so happy for them, and I know the same is available for me. When you bless the wealth of others, you're signaling to the universe that you approve of wealth. You're saying wealth is good. Wealth is desirable. Wealth is something I want. And your subconscious hears that and starts creating the conditions for you to have wealth too. This practice alone can transform your financial reality faster than almost anything else. Because most people walk around silently cursing the wealth of others, and then they wonder why they can't attract wealth themselves. You can't attract what you resent, but you can attract what you celebrate. So starting today, make it a habit. Every time you see wealth, bless it. Every time you hear about someone's success, celebrate it. Feel genuine joy for them. And watch how quickly your own financial situation begins to shift. Now we come to the most important part of this entire teaching. Everything I've shared with you up until this point, the principles, the affirmations, the practices, they're all powerful on their own. But they become truly transformative when you commit to them consistently over a period of time. That's why Florence created what she called the 30-Day Prosperity Challenge. This is a comprehensive practice that integrates everything we've discussed into a daily ritual that will completely reprogram your subconscious mind and shift your vibrational frequency to match the frequency of wealth. I'm going to walk you through this challenge step by step, and I want you to commit right now, in this moment, to doing it. Not thinking about it, not considering it, not saying you'll try, actually committing. Because here's the truth. 30 days will pass whether you do this or not. You can arrive at day 31 exactly where you are now, or you can arrive there transformed. The choice is yours, but you have to choose, and you have to commit. The first rule of the 30-day challenge is this. Do not complain about money, not out loud, not in your thoughts, not even as a joke. For 30 days straight, you are not allowed to say or think anything negative about money. This sounds easy, but it's actually one of the hardest parts of the challenge because most people complain about money constantly without even realizing it. I can't afford that. Money is so tight. I wish I had more money. This is too expensive. Every single one of those phrases is a complaint, and every complaint is an instruction to your subconscious to keep you in lack. So what do you do when the impulse to complain arises? You catch yourself. You stop mid-sentence if you have to, and you replace the complaint with gratitude. Instead of, I can't afford that, say, I'm choosing to spend my money on other things right now. Instead of, money is so tight, say, I'm managing my resources wisely. Instead of, I wish I had more money, say, more money is on its way to me. It's a small shift in language, but it makes a massive difference in your vibration. Now here's the challenging part. If you complain even once during the 30 days, you have to start over from day one. This is not to punish you. It's to train you, because the goal of this challenge is not just to get through 30 days. The goal is to permanently rewire your brain so that complaining about money is no longer your default response. And the only way to do that is to take it seriously. So if you slip up, don't beat yourself up. Just acknowledge it, reset your counter, and start again from day one. The second rule of the challenge is to give thanks for money 3 times a day. This is non-negotiable. Morning, afternoon, and night. You stop whatever you're doing and you express gratitude for the money in your life. Not the money you wish you had, not the money you think you deserve. The money you actually have right now, in this moment. Even if it's just $5 in your wallet, even if it's just a few coins in your pocket, you hold that money, you look at it, and you say, "Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for serving me." If you have no physical money to hold, then you look at your bank account on your phone. Even if the number is lower than you'd like, you still give thanks. Thank you for this money. Thank you that I have something. Thank you that I am not starting from zero. The key here is to feel genuine gratitude, not fake it. So take a moment to really appreciate what you have. Think about what that money allows you to do. Maybe it bought you a meal. Maybe it paid for your electricity so you can have light. Maybe it's keeping a roof over your head. Whatever it is, find something to be genuinely grateful for. Why 3 times a day? Because repetition creates habit. And when gratitude for money becomes a habit, your entire financial reality shifts. You stop seeing money as scarce and start seeing it as abundant. You stop resenting it and start appreciating it. And as we've already discussed, money responds to the energy you send it. When you send gratitude, money sends more of itself. The third rule of the challenge is to bless the money of others. Every single day, you must consciously bless the wealth and prosperity of at least 3 people. This could be someone you know personally, a friend, a family member, a coworker, or it could be a stranger, someone driving a nice car, someone living in a beautiful house, someone you see on social media celebrating a win. It doesn't matter who they are. What matters is that you genuinely feel happy for them. You look at their abundance and you say, either out loud or in your mind, "I bless your prosperity. I celebrate your wealth. I'm so happy for you." This practice does something incredible. It removes envy and resentment from your consciousness. And envy is one of the biggest blocks to wealth. When you envy others, you're essentially saying, "They have something I don't, and that's unfair." And your subconscious hears that as, "Wealth is unfair. Wealth is bad. I don't want to be like them." But when you bless others, you're saying, "Wealth is good. Wealth is available. I celebrate abundance wherever I see it." And your subconscious hears that as permission to create wealth for you too. The fourth rule is to choose one prosperity affirmation and repeat it every single day. Pick one of the 3 affirmations I gave you earlier, or create your own. But whatever you choose, commit to it for the full 30 days. Say it at least 10 times in the morning and 10 times at night. Say it with feeling. Say it with conviction. Say it until you believe it in every cell of your body. This daily repetition is how you install a new program in your subconscious. The old program of lack has been running for years, maybe even decades. You can't overwrite it with 1 or 2 affirmations. You need consistent, daily repetition over time. And finally, the 5th rule of the challenge is to spend with joy and gratitude. Every time you spend money during these 30 days, no matter how small the amount, you must do it with positive energy. No resentment, no regret, no anxiety, just joy and gratitude. When you buy groceries, say, "I'm so grateful I can feed myself and my family." When you pay rent, say, "I'm so grateful I have a safe place to live." When you fill up your gas tank, say, "I'm so grateful for this car that gets me where I need to go." Even if it's just buying a cup of coffee, pause for a moment and feel grateful for the ability to make that purchase. This practice transforms spending from something negative into something positive. Most people hate spending money because they see it as loss. But Florence taught that spending is circulation. It's not loss, it's flow. When you spend with joy, you're keeping the energy moving. You're telling the universe, "I trust that more is coming. I'm not afraid to let money move through me." And the universe responds to that trust by sending more money your way. So let me recap the 5 rules of the 30-day challenge. 1. Do not complain about money under any circumstances. 2. Give thanks for money 3 times a day. 3. Bless the wealth of others daily. 4. Repeat your chosen prosperity affirmation at least 20 times a day. 5. Spend all money with joy and gratitude. If you do these 5 things consistently for 30 days straight, I promise you that your financial reality will transform. Not because of magic, not because the universe suddenly decided to favor you, but because you changed your vibration, you changed your frequency, you changed your identity. And when you change on the inside, the outside has no choice but to change to match. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but what if I do all of this and nothing changes? And I want to address that fear directly because it's important. First of all, something will change. It might not be dramatic, it might not be instant, but something will shift. Maybe it's an unexpected refund, maybe it's a small raise, maybe it's a free meal from a friend. Maybe it's just a shift in how you feel about money. Pay attention to the small changes because they're signs that the process is working. But here's the deeper truth. This challenge is not about getting rich quick. It's about becoming a person who naturally attracts wealth. It's about transforming your identity from someone who struggles with money to someone who flows with money. And that transformation takes time. 30 days is just the beginning. Some people see massive results in 30 days. Others see subtle shifts that build over time. But everyone who commits to this practice sees results eventually. The key is to trust the process and stay consistent. Florence used to tell her students, "Don't look at your bank account every 5 minutes expecting it to have magically grown. Plant the seeds, water them daily, and trust that the harvest will come in its perfect time." That's what this challenge is. You're planting seeds in the garden of your consciousness. You're watering them with affirmations, gratitude, and positive energy. And in time, those seeds will sprout into a harvest of abundance beyond what you can currently imagine. I also want to talk about what happens after the 30 days. Some people complete the challenge and then immediately go back to their old patterns. They complain about money again. They stop giving thanks. They spend with resentment. And guess what happens? Their old financial reality comes back because they return to their old vibration. The goal is not just to do this for 30 days. The goal is to make these practices a permanent part of your life. After 30 days, these habits should feel natural. They should feel like who you are. And when that happens, prosperity becomes your permanent state, not just a temporary experience. There's one more thing I need to share with you before we close, and it's perhaps the most important teaching Florence ever gave. She said, "Your outer world is a perfect mirror of your inner world. If you want to change what you see in the mirror, you don't try to rearrange the reflection. You change yourself. This is the key to everything." So many people try to change their financial situation by working harder, hustling more, or finding new strategies. And yes, action is important. But if the inner foundation isn't there, if your subconscious is still programmed for lack, if your vibration is still tuned to scarcity, then no amount of outer action will create lasting change. But when you do the inner work first, when you change your beliefs, your thoughts, your words, and your energy, the outer world has no choice but to reorganize itself to match. Opportunities appear. People show up, doors open, money flows. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. This is the true secret to prosperity. It's not about doing more. It's about being different. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts wealth because that's who they are at their core. So here's my final challenge to you. Starting today, right now, commit to the 30-day challenge. Write it down. Tell someone about it. Make it real, and then show up every single day for the next 30 days and do the work. Talk to your money. Give thanks for it. Bless the wealth of others. Repeat your affirmations. Spend with joy. And watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Florence Scovel Shinn changed thousands of lives with these teachings. Women who were broke became prosperous. Men who were struggling found abundance. Families who were suffering found relief. And it all started with one decision, the decision to change the conversation. The decision to treat money as a friend instead of an enemy. The decision to trust in the universe's infinite supply instead of believing in lack. You have that same power right now. You have the same teachings. You have the same tools. The only question is, will you use them? Will you commit? Will you show up for yourself every day for the next 30 days and do what needs to be done? I hope the answer is yes. Because you deserve prosperity. You deserve abundance. You deserve financial freedom. Not because you're special, but because you're human. And prosperity is the natural state of every human being who aligns themselves with it. So go now. Start your 30-day challenge today. And when you complete it, come back and share your story. Tell us what changed. Tell us what shifted. Tell us what miracles appeared in your life. Because your story will inspire others. And together, we can create a wave of prosperity consciousness that lifts everyone who's ready to rise. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for opening your heart to these teachings. Now go talk to your money and watch your life change.